Speaker recognizes the gentleman from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to yield 4 minutes to the representative from Texas, Representative Jackson Lee.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
Let me thank the distinguished ranking member for the time and to the managers who are on the floor today. And let me clarify even the reason for my being present as a member of the Homeland Security Committee and one who has dealt with the issues by way of national security, issues of water, chemical contamination. I rise with great opposition to H.J. Res 27. And let me call the roll: Flint, Michigan; Jackson, Mississippi; East Palestine, that has been known in the midst of the derailment to also contaminate water; and then cancer clusters in Houston where runoffs were contaminating the water. Let me give you the basis of what this is about. The rule that we're trying to oppose reestablishes critical protections for the nation's vital water resources by returning to the long-standing 1986 regulations with appropriate updates, exclusions, and streamlining clarifications. In fact, the plain statement is that H.J. Res would leave Americans without a clear waters of the United States definition, which deals, of course, with the overall question of clean water. I oppose it because it does clarify the categories of water bodies and wetlands that be subject to the government protection under the Clean Water Act. People are suffering across America, and to my good friend, with the lawsuit by 24 states, we have 50 states. And it is very clear that my good friends in the red states, the AGs, thought that they would undermine the president's direction on clean water. H.J. Res 27 will carelessly bind the hands of federal agencies working to protect our country's water supply and quality while giving instability for farmers and developers. This does not work. H.J. Res 27 was to become law. It may have a detrimental effect on the Clean Water Act, a law that prohibits the discharge of pollutants into our country's rivers and safeguards the quality of our water resources. We are a smart and big country. We can definitely find ways to help our farmers. We're getting ready to do the Farm Bill. And we can definitely find ways to help those who engage in economic development. It is important to prevent this joint resolution in order to maintain the Clean Water Act because the CWA places restrictions on the number of pollutants that can be emitted and mandates that any plant that releases pollutants into U.S. waters acquire a permit. Mr. Speaker, is that too onerous? I heard someone use that term, to save lives, to prevent babies from having an impact by drinking this water and having distorted growth. The Clean Water Act also permits the use of federal funding to support the construction and maintenance of water treatment facilities by local governments and other organizations. I can tell you Houston, Texas needs those resources, and so do other cities. I would hate to undermine those resources. The Clean Water Act has been an essential tool for preserving the health of U.S. water resources, for ensuring that Americans have access to clean, safe water, by establishing standards, funding infrastructure projects, and promoting monitoring research activities. The Clean Water Act has been a significant factor in preserving and enhancing Houston's water quality. I have worked with the Army Corps of Engineers. They listen. And if they speak up and say this is the framework in which we need, and the EPA as well, that has been on the front lines of contamination, that seems to be the call of the day because our good friends in corporate America, trains and otherwise, seemingly don't listen. And believe me, just rode in on a train. I believe in that mode of opportunity and transportation, but let's have everyone be fair and responsible to what we have to do to protect the water of this nation. The Clean Water Act was enacted in 1972, and according to the EPA, the number of water bodies in the U.S. that were safe for fishing and swimming has increased from 36% to over 60%. When you have something that's working, why are you undermining it? And so I'm clearly in the position to say, as 2019, the EPA awarded $4.2 million to the City of Houston to fund projects aimed at improving water quality and stormwater management. We advocated.
And your time has expired.
Additional minute.
I thank the distinguished gentleman.
Without it, yep.
We advocated for that stormwater management. We have hurricanes, and in hurricanes, we are always subject to the system just not being able to hold the water and contamination as a possibility. According to the Houston Public Works Department, the city's wastewater treatment plants treat an average of 304 million gallons of wastewater per day. These treatment plants are required to meet strict standards. Just, I will say, all cities and counties, we're all working to maintain clean water. We have a situation that we're working on, my local community of Houston, wastewater and sewage. What do you think we would do without the Clean Water Act? Please don't undermine us. Don't undermine the local people. Listen to the roll call. Flint, Jackson, Mississippi, East Palestine, and many others. Let us oppose this particular H.J. Res, and let us recognize that we have the responsibility, if nothing else, if we're doing nothing else, we have got to be responsible with H.J. Res 27 opposing it so that we can stand up for the children of this nation.
Time has
I
expired.
ask my colleagues to oppose H.J. Res 27. I yield back.